I'm Office Bloke Daz.
I'm Sophie.
I'm Office Bloke Aidan.
I'm Gaynor.
What we're going to do today, we've already done the 70s one.
We have.
Things that we used to do in the 70s that we don't do today, or kids don't do today.
Yeah.
This is something from the 80s, which was another era I grew up in, sort of thing. I was probably, when at the start of the 80s, I was just turning 8.
Right.
So you probably know more about the 80s and the 70s
Yeah.
then, really.
No, because I used to smoke in the 70s. And,
Like 5 years
Yeah,
old.
I give it up in the 80s. Went on to cigars on a pipe.
I was 10
Getting
in
old,
1980.
getting old then.
Yeah, so this was like your main
Yeah.
era,
Yeah.
10 to 20.
Yeah. The way they dress, that's what I dress like.
Hairstyle and everything.
The hair, the curly perm and the big...
Yeah, the
Shoulders
80s I went to like high school and stuff like in the late
Yeah.
80s. So it was that was like growing up years, I suppose, for just going into teenage years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like your 80s is like my 2010s.
Yeah.
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 Do you know what I mean?
So you'll see a lot of the things we used to do in the 80s that probably you wouldn't be able to get away with now. You know, people wouldn't allow it now with the the Mike Halliday sort of brigade with the clipboards and stuff like that.
Safety.
Yeah. So let's have a look at anyway 1980s things that are not socially acceptable today.
40 years ago, things were very different. MTV was just catching on and Atari was still very popular. We didn't have all the constant news in our face, but our social media was hanging out with friends and family. Some of the things we used to do would probably get you arrested now. Safety standards in cars were pretty well absent. The regulations were more like mild suggestions rather than rules or laws. Nobody wore seatbelts and many people just wondered why they were even there. As a kid, you could sit in the middle of the bench seat up front and control the
We don't have
radio.
bench seats here.
If you wanted to see over the tall dash, then you could just simply stand up. Heck, Dad may have even placed you in his lap so you could help him steer the car.
My dad, when we used to go to my grandma's house, my nana's, my dad used to pull up on the road leading into it because she lived in a cul-de-sac, like two cul-de-sac. You go down one cul-de-sac and then turn off to the next cul-de-sac, sort of thing, went down there. And my dad used to sit me on his knee and drive. I told the story last time about when my dad used to, I don't know if I did tell the story actually, my dad used to have these old cars, like we could never afford a brand new car, so we always had like used older cars that my dad used to be able to fix up and make them go. And then I was too little to push the car, right, to start it. We used to have to do a jump start pretty much most mornings. As soon as it got cold, it was jump starting the car because the battery would be dead. So my dad used to put me in the driver's seat, my two brothers and my dad would push it, and then I'd jump start it when I was about, probably about between 8 and 10. So it's probably about the start of the 80s when I was doing this sort of thing. So 8 and 10, I could just about see over the dashboard like that. And I've got my feet, I'm sat right on the nib of the seat, right? And I've got my feet on the pedals sort of thing. And I jump start the car. I only jump started when my dad banged on the car, going, "No, dickhead!" And I jump start it. And I had it in second gear with the clutch down, and then just pop the clutch up and then I'd rev it like that, and then I'd go around the whole block and bring it back without stalling it, because if we stalled it, my dad would kill me, sort of thing. I used
It's
to
not the
drive
fact you're driving it around, it's the fact that you
drove around the whole block when I was about 8, like this, looking over the window in second gear, didn't change gear.
Did you not have MOTs on?
But as we were driving in to stop it, my dad would be running next to the car. He'd open the door and just drag me out and jump in. Be like rolling down the street. Pick me sick up and get back in. It's true story.
What, and then he's just leaving you back out on the street? Like,
He'd gone to work then.
work.
And we could go back to bed. This was like 5 in. This wasn't like, this was when he was got to work at like 5 in. We had school at like 9. So I had like another 2.5 hours in bed.
It was also common to see kids just packed in the back of a station wagon or maybe in the bed of a pickup truck. Car seats were available for purchase, but rarely would you ever see one in a car. If your car was packed with kids, then it was usually easier just to leave them in the car and then go into the grocery store and shop. Most people just left the windows rolled down and the kids would be just fine. Kids were very active, and it wasn't uncommon just to tell your parents you were going outside to play, and then you would disappear for most of the day, if not all of it. It was always easy to tell where all the neighborhood kids were just by glancing at someone's yard and seeing the collection of bicycles. If that wasn't seen, then most of the kids would knock on their friend's door to see if they were home and if they wanted to come out and play.
to be fair, when I was younger, I would always go out on my bike and spend most of the day out.
Like, yeah.
Because we tried to sort of like push the
Normal.
the ethics we had as growing up as a kid. We wanted to give you that sort of like same growing up as what we went through.
Yeah.
And we don't even to now, if you notice, we never get in your face and bother. We never have done. We've let you sort of like lead your own life of what you want to do. Same as your brother. Lead your own life. What about you? You have similar.
Yeah, like we were out like all the time playing. Like we couldn't go past the street, like, but we'd always be in the garden or like out on the street. Like we had a PlayStation 1, which we loved. Like we'd play on that a lot. But
in the 80s, like I say, I was like at the start of the 80s. I was just coming up to the age of 8. Right, at the start of the 80s or 9, and then we played. Hide and seek, right?
No, what's that?
Where you have to.
There must be a 1980s game.
There was another one called Rallybo, and you used to have 2 teams, and one team would go, and you have to hunt them and catch them, find out where they were. Right. So you have 2 teams of say 10, so 20 kids are out playing. Right. I got on the bus. I went to the next town.
what you did?
You're just cheating on yourself. It's going to be there on your own for like ages.
Not catching me.
The thing is, you think how dangerous it was, because me and my friends used to go to the Bolling, which was like a deep river.
I used to go there a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to dive off the cliffs into the Bolling.
Yeah, we had a rope.
A rope,
swing.
yeah.
That might have been the same rope swing that I
Probably
went.
is.
There was a tire at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably we made that.
Yeah. It's been there years.
Yeah.
Passing it
It's
down through
not
generation.
up anymore.
Yeah.
No.
It's been
But
dipping now.
allocate too dangerous.
Yeah,
This is not
probably.
safe anymore.
There's a river night next to that.
Crocodiles in that river. I'm kidding. Snakes.
If you went around riding bikes, then you certainly didn't wear a helmet. Most people couldn't even see these in stores to buy, and if you could, they wouldn't have even wanted them. Same thing with elbow pads and knee pads. Most kids just thought it was cool to show off your latest injury or skinned knee. If you happen to be too far from home too late, then no problem. Find one of the payphones that were all over the place, and if you didn't have change, then that wasn't a problem either. Your parents knew when they got the collect call.
You have a collect call from.
I'm at the community center.
Do you accept charges?
No.
Your mom and dad would just come and pick you up and load up the bikes if you had them. Otherwise, your parents just expected you to be home by the time the street lights came on. Smoking was still very big, and parents smoked in the home and in the car with kids still in it. Secondhand smoke was just something that everyone had to live with, and most people weren't worried about exposing it to kids.
Do you remember?
It wasn't uncommon.
Do you remember when they had this thing about passive smoke?
Yeah.
Passive smoking.
Yeah, how like secondhand smoke's worse than first-hand
than
smoke.
smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I started smoking. That's why I started smoking at
And
such a young
people
age.
started wearing those pins that said, "You smoke, I choke."
Yeah.
Oh god.
Why used to what people used to wear?
A badge, yeah. You smoke, I choke.
Were they Dutch?
Yeah.
Mike used to sell them outside the office.
Nice, Mike still wears one now.
I'm going to see people
that,
just
just stop me. Considering our parents smoked really heavily, we didn't smoke, and then our kids smoke.
Do I?
Yeah.
Well, you vape. Same thing.
Same. It's full of nicotine and.
Yeah, both of them. All of them do.
Yeah.
All the kids.
Yeah.
Just
All
got to get the
4 of them.
grandkids on it now.
Yeah.
Stam
Arlo already knows how to do it, to be fair. He puts a vape to his mouth and goes...
Does it?
Yeah.
It makes a noise.
Yeah, bad.
smoking away in restaurants, and most of them probably didn't even have smoking sections. Things were so different back then that there were cigarette machines in front of some stores and restaurants. No ID check or anything, just insert the quarters and pull the knob. It was also a time when kids would run to the convenience store and pick up some essentials. Sometimes those essentials were cigarettes, and all we needed was a note from mom or dad and a blank check. Considering how most people were about smoking, it's not surprising that alcohol would be much different. Alcohol wasn't something that kids enjoyed, but I'm sure many tasted it just to see what it was like when parents offered it. Being a latchkey kid was perfectly fine. Parents were busy working and doing other things, so it was quite common to see kids at home by themselves or watching younger siblings until they got home. Parents just thought if kids were old enough to dial the important numbers or 911, they were responsible enough to be at home alone. Physical punishment was also something that was viewed very differently.
A lot of these are talked about, but they only say about dialing the numbers. Only when we were about 8 or 10 did we get a phone that we could like really use, sort of thing. I used to come down and when I was younger, I used to dial all them strip lines, the chat lines. About 10-year-old, I'm on the 0898 numbers. What are you wearing? How old are you? 23. Hang on. 23. My mum would get a phone bill for like $4,000.
I used to film all those horoscope lines. I'd be on there for about 30 minutes.
Paddling or swats from parents, family, or teachers was considered completely reasonable if the kids misbehaved or were disrespectful. Punishment was usually swift and painful. Peanut allergies certainly were around back then, but kids still brought peanut butter sandwiches and peanut products to school.
Hang on a minute.
Peanut and other allergy bans weren't a thing.
Are you telling that to?
Sophie and I did a video before, and we were talking about boiled peanuts, and I was saying, what are boiled peanuts? And she went, well, they're tiny, aren't they? And I said, yeah, but they come in a shell, and that's what they were.
Mr. Peanut is a shell peanut.
Yeah, but she's never seen a peanut not in a
You know
shell.
Mr. Peanut is, right?
Yeah, he's a peanut.
Bit of a penis.
That bag looks way too full, by the way. If you would just have...
That was the larger size. But what you used to have, when you went to school, right?
Yeah.
When I went to school, we had nobody who was ADHD. Everyone was either a boy or a girl, we knew, right? Girls wore dresses, boys wore pants, shorts, right? You had no, there was nothing, no one had anything wrong with him. There was no special need. We had one kid who had special needs.
Was it you?
But we knew he had special needs. And we all looked after him.
Yeah.
Aww.
But we only looked after him so we could make fun of him. Or
Stop it.
But I remember
we used to make him chase us.
Darren.
I remember there was a girl in our school, and she came from Bench Hill School.
Nice then.
And we called her 10-foot Tina because we were all probably about 5 foot, and she was 6 foot at 11 years old.
She was probably like 33 if she was from Bench Hill.
Getting held
A lot of
back.
these are the same ones we covered in the 70s, similar
Yeah.
sort of thing. I guess it's the overlap into the 80s
Yeah.
with a bit more technology.
Yeah.
Is Pac-Man classed as technology?
EpiPens didn't hit the market until 1987, so if you had an allergy, you just had to hope you didn't die.
No one had it, yeah. Massive head.
If you were a teenager in the 1980s, then you didn't have Instagram or Snapchat. Your social media was hanging out at the mall with your friends. You could do a little shopping, eating, and a whole lot of hanging out. Parents would allow their kids to roam the mall by themselves for hours. Kids may still go to the mall today, but not quite as much. If they hang out there all day now, they might accuse you of loitering.
Loitering.
Chickenpox parties were something that many people had long before there was a vaccine. Most people felt it was best just to get chickenpox out of the way so you wouldn't have to worry about it later. If one kid started showing signs, then it was time to gather every other kid who hadn't gotten it for a good old-fashioned
No
party.
way.
To do.
That's a bit
The
crazy, that.
PG-13 rating didn't exist until July 1st.
Don't.
Have you had chickenpox?
Yeah, when I was a baby, I think.
Both mine were vaccinated against it, so they've never had chickenpox.
Really?
Yeah.
But if you get it, it's better to get it as a
Child.
Yeah.
Shingles.
whereas as an adult, like you can be really
yeah.
Shingles
poorly.
is another one, isn't it?
Shingles, yeah.
I had it.
Once you've had the
I
shingles.
went to one of them parties. Yeah. That's what you used to do. You used to spread. That's what you used. I remember all the older people, when I did really old people who were like 30. Because 30 was really old when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And everyone looked about 90.
Yeah.
You know, then. So I think my mum was looked about 90 when she was 24.
Well, they all had like a big curly perm, didn't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah,
There was no
it's like the
contact
Golden
lenses,
Girls.
so they had like big glasses.
My mum, when she had me, when she was about 14, I think it was. She was older.
Not surprised with you.
Kidding. I'm kidding, exactly. I'm kidding though.
1984.
She was 15.
Prior to that, they got away with a lot more. People realized that there was a huge gap between PG and R. If you take a look back at the movie Airplane, which was PG, you'll understand how wide this gap was. The movie was filled with a lot of adult humor in it, and it even showed some nudity. On August 10th, 1984, the action film Red Dawn starring Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen became the first ever PG-13 movie to be released in theaters. Over the last 40 years, there have been many changes. not just in technology, but in regulations on what we can and cannot do. Most of the younger generations do not realize how many changes have taken place during the 80s.
We saw this on a previous video we did about the discontinued items, but look at the prices of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in cents as well.
Yeah,
Big
65
Mac,
cents.
65 cents.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Do you know how much that was in the UK at that time? Nothing, because we didn't have McDonald's.
Yeah.
When do you think McDonald's came to the UK?
60s?
No, 70s.
1974, I think it was.
Really?
Yeah.
First one
It
in
was
London,
London.
Southeast
Yeah,
London.
you have to be London, because I don't remember any McDonald's growing up when I was a kid.
I think my first McDonald's was when I was 15, so that had been in 1985.
Yeah. The closest I don't even remember the first McDonald's that opened. Would it have been Altrincham, around this area?
Yeah, it was where Nando's is.
Yeah, because we had Wimpy before that, didn't
Yeah,
we?
and that was on the main
Main
George
High
Street.
Street. Yeah, burger place.
It's not a thing anymore.
No.
Yeah, I've never seen one.
No, it was
It
a
was
bit
a burger place, but they give you a knife and fork
Yeah,
and a plate.
it was a bit
and
more
proper
upmarket
glass.
than a McDonald's. It was kind of like
Bit like a Nando's, or
they were like proper burgers, weren't they? Weren't like
Yeah.
patty burgers, they were proper thick burgers. From
And
what I
they had the
remember.
proper like ice cream sundaes in a big glass with a...
Not like I ever
spoon.
went anyway. It's like we couldn't afford that. That was proper like we never ate out anything when we were kids.
No,
We just couldn't afford it. If we were eating out, it was off the ice cream man.
Yeah.
That was only if we had to ask him if he had anything that was broken.
Did you?
Yeah, we were proper tramps, man. We were proper scruffs.
you distract the driver whilst I go around the
Yeah,
back.
that's what it was. We
Make all the ice
The
cream.
problem is though, the driver was my nana's neighbour, so he do all our tricks. He taught us the tricks. He used to give us stuff because he was like, yeah, to take these.
Fair play to the
Yeah.
hustle.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, don't rip me off, but I'll give you all a lolly. Sort of
Put
thing.
the ice cream flake down the middle so you don't pay for
Yeah,
it.
he had to, before he drove off, he had to check the van, there was no one on top of it. Serious. Oh, that was my sister, and she was younger than me. She climbed up on the van, sat on the roof like that.
In the 80s and have continued to do so. I hope you enjoyed this little walk down memory lane. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, they're great, them videos.
Why don't you come up here, Pumpkin?
What's this?
What are you
Press the
doing, Larry?
stomach.
Yeah.
Well, Vince, I've asked my pumpkin to sit on my lap to prove a point.
And what is that, your Larryness?
Even if we fasten our safety belts, even if you hold on tight, even if you were watching the road, in a crash, your pumpkin will be nothing but a squash.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Use child safety seats. We love that little pumpkin face.
Okay, Joey, it's a wrap.
Hi, I'm Joey Lawrence if you need a break. After I'm done here, I get a ride home. But the thing is, I will only get into a car with someone who wears their seatbelt. You see, kids like me usually do what the driver does. If they don't buckle, we don't buckle. Sounds pretty dumb, huh? But it happens, just like accidents. Give a kid a break. Buckle up. Your life and theirs is in your hands.
There's another one. They used to say smoking was good for you, didn't they? I thought they said smoking was good for you.
Listen, you think you're cool there, but you stink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone used to be like, you know the old adage, you probably did it when you were at school. We used to have bike sheds at school. I don't know if you hadn't, it's more of an older thing, wasn't it? In modern day, didn't have the bike sheds, they just used to have the lockups. But we used to all, everyone used to grab a cigarette, go around the back of the bike sheds, and then a cigarette turns into something a bit stronger. Something a bit stronger, and then you got all the methods behind it.
I never smoked. I hated the smell of it.
That's what I'm saying, like back then everywhere must have just
Stunk of stunk.
Yeah.
If you went to a nightclub, when you got home, you had to get in the shower straight away because
you stunk of it.
Yeah.
your hair and your clothes stunk of it.
Even when I was a kid, until they stopped, was it about 2007? They stopped people smoking in the pubs. But until then, I'd come home, stink, I'd have to get in the shower as soon as I got in because you'd stink smoke.
Yeah, it was horrible.
It's awful.
What, in 2007?
Yeah,
What
whatever.
year were you born?
95. So I remember like being about
12.
10, 11, 12 and coming...
Ush.
Started young. It's early.
Yeah, exactly. It's late. That,
Exactly.
Yeah. Should have been at home with your kids by then.
Yeah, just on their own. It's one of them where it's... These videos, I love seeing these because it's such a it throws back memories. So it jogs me memory for what we used to get up to when we were kids.
Yeah, well, I remember like my parents were divorced, and I used to go see my dad, and he used to see me for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then he'd go to the pub and sit me on the wall with all my other cousins with a drink and a packet of crisps, and he'd be in there for like hours.
I remember going to find my dad in the pub, and kids weren't allowed in the pubs years ago. They just weren't allowed in.
No.
And especially where my dad used to go, it was like a proper man's vault type thing where all kinds of illegal activity would go on. I remember opening the door and I couldn't even see. It was just pure smoke. It's like the place was on fire.
Yeah.
I just went, nah. And went back out and sat back on the wall. Only needed another drink. But anyone would buy you a drink.
Yeah.
You know, anyone would come in and say, oh, it's Archie's kid. And he'd be like, yeah, get me a drink. And the next thing, someone would pass a bottle of Coke back, of Coca-Cola back. Someone would take a swig of it, like, well, it'd stink of smoke. Yeah. And they'd give it you. It'd be like, about that much left in it. Yeah. Everyone had a sip before it got to you.
Yeah, disgusting.
Yeah. But over the days, that was, no, I wouldn't change it for anything growing up in the 70s and 80s.
No.
You know?
We're still here.
jealous.
We survived it.
I've got scars and memories. That's the main thing. Yeah, but we had zero money, man. We had nothing.
Yeah.
So I remember my mum empty purse by like a Thursday, waiting for payday to come on the Friday.
Yeah.
So my dad get paid so we can like afford even like school lunches and anything like that. We were.
Did you not have like free school meals or anything?
No, we didn't qualify for them because my dad worked, but they used to give us we used to steal the dinner tickets, and we used to sell them in the playground. So the ticket was worth 45p. For the meal in the dining hall.
That's
right?
decent for
So it's a little green ticket. I used to get the whole roll, so it had about 400 tickets on it. And then I used to go back out. I used to sell them for 20p each. in the what's it? They knew it was me. They always knew it was me. Yeah, so I used to sell them out there like that. So I used to collect all the 20s like that, and then they'd take up and be out buying a new pair of shoes or a pair of trainers or something that I needed.
I mean, it's not harming anyone, was it? You know.
Well, the school did getting proper turned over. But even when I used to have my own ticket, I used to go and say some tickets for myself, go in there, buy them, and I'd get the bowl of custard. And then when I'd say, what's that up there? And when they turn around, I'd grab like 2 biscuits and put them in the custard so you couldn't see them. And go and pay for the custard, like 8p for the custard. And I'd take the change out of the ticket. So I'd only use 8p, so I'd get like 37p back. Put that in my bin as well, just nicked it with some.
Very smart.
And then the woman who works who works on the register knew my mum. She used to play darts in the same team, so she used to say, "Here, take this," and then she'd give me like a plate of chips for free.
Oh,
decent.
Sort of like chips, custard, and 2 cookies for
free.
Great pay.
That you didn't even pay for.
Didn't pay for it. I got 37p. I made money. I was proper hustling. The best thing I used to do when I was younger. I don't know if anyone wants to listen to these stories. Turn it off if you don't. But this is the story I used to do. There used to be an old couple that used to have the sandwich shop where you used to live facing your house. Remember that? Old Irish couple? Yeah. Right, and I used to go in every day, right, for my lunch, and I used to get a pound coin, and I used to flick the pound coin up, and I used to drop it and go, oh, pass me that pound coin, and I used to pick it up and I used to give it back, and I used to flick it, they were looking at me, and I used to bang it on the counter, and then when I went to pay, I switch it and give them 50p, and they always give me change out of a pound.
Really?
Every day, it worked. Yeah.
That's
you won't look at
it. Be ashamed of yourself.
You used to give me change for the pound every day. It was psychological.
I bet they couldn't retire because you were swindling
Don't care.
them.
I didn't go hungry. But
no,
I made money out of these businessmen.
The sad thing is, you're telling these stories as though this is only what you did when you were a child. But then when we moved in together, you sent me to the shop with £20, and they stopped me because it was a fake £20 note. And when I came home, I said, "It's a fake £20 note." And he went, "I just wanted to see if it worked."
I bought 100 quid for a tenner.
But he tried it out on me because he knew I didn't know, and I wouldn't look.
Quid for
and I wouldn't look.
It was like guilty.
It was when it first started coming out, counterfeit notes. They look real, they look good, but the only one I got caught on was the old guy because he checked everything. It was the old guy, typical, the one guy. Yeah.
I
just used to sit
and
at
I still
McDonald's.
married him.
Just used to go around the drive-through at McDonald's, just buying a coffee every 10 minutes. Like I'm just putting him and selling, getting change. I made loads. There you go.
Yeah.
Take me to prison now.
Yeah. Give away all your secrets.
Can you imagine if you got 25 years for something you did?
You got to prove
30 years ago.
You got to prove it, haven't they? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, please, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers.
Bye.